Welcome to today's webinar, Creating Your Six-Figure Social Media Database, hosted by MAPS coach Deana Watson. Before I kick it over to her, I just have three quick announcements. Please note this meeting is being recorded. I will share the link in the chat momentarily to the MAPS YouTube channel, where the recording will become available within 24 hours. Everyone is on mute currently. However, we do value group participation, so we ask that if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. Deana will get to them as soon as she can throughout the presentation. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or any other coaching programs, don't hesitate to email us at fasttrack, FASTTRACK, there's two T's there, at kw.com. I'll put that in the chat as well. That's all for me, Deana. Floor is yours.
Cool. Thanks, Graham. I'm also going to put my email address in the chat box. Yes, this will be approximately 30 minutes, maybe 35-ish if there are a lot of questions. But generally speaking, these webinars are quick and easy, in and out. Let's learn something good and get on with our day kind of things. Like he said, there will be a recording of this on the YouTube channel, so you don't need to email me for the recording. Unless you just want to email me, you can. And in that case, that is my email address in the chat box, deanawatson@kw.com. So if you guys have any questions throughout this, put it in the chat box, or you can save it and email me all your questions so I can email you back and you have a record of it. Totally up to you. Today, we're going to do what we would call your six-figure social media database. And if you told me 5 or 6 years ago that I would be teaching this to you guys, I would have thought, oh my gosh, that's so many houses. But the glory of inflation is that we don't have to sell as many homes to get to 6 figures. So we're actually going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about how social media works, the basic frameworks of what Meta or Facebook and Instagram primarily are looking for. And then we're going to really get honest with yourselves based on your own commission structure, how many homes you'd have to sell to have a 6-figure social media database. So we're going to get started with who am I? My name is Deana Watson. People call me Deana, Diana, all kinds of random things, but it's pronounced Deana. But I'm open for you calling me whatever is nice and wonderful, but it is Deana. I am a MAPS mastery coach, which means that I do coach people one-on-one. I also have a team that I am the rainmaker and founder of, that I'm in the process of helping someone else take over from me. So that's super exciting. I am one of the newest community leaders at Keller Williams, and I lead KW Military because my husband is in the U.S. Army Special Forces, and I'm super proud of him because that's a really elite honor and thing he's worked really hard for. I am a boy mom. He's 5. He's also redheaded and kind of crazy, so I am as well. I absolutely love dogs, and I'm a social media branding enthusiast. I think it's really fun to watch how someone can turn who they are and what they know into a brand that attracts other people to them. So that's a little bit about me. Today on this call, we have 3 main objectives. One is to get an understanding on how social media actually works these days. Because you guys, the algorithm changes every single month, it seems like, where different rules are the game that you're playing. And I think it's interesting for you guys to know the rules of social media. Number 2, we're going to talk about how many sales you actually would need to have in order to gross 100,000 in a year from this source as a powerful source of business for you. Here's something I want you to think about and consider. Social media in business isn't just all fun and games. It isn't just something you do to waste your time. There are people that I know, and I am one of them. There are people that I know that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and this is their primary source of business, and that is what they do. That's what they're known for. Whereas some of you may be known for Sphere or door knocking or open houses. This is now a viable source of business in a pretty big way. The third thing we're going to talk about is the things that you have to do immediately to get into the social media game and make sure that you are playing the right game with the right rules in mind. So these, just so you know, you're welcome to screenshot anything that we throw up here on the screen today. I say that because you will not be emailed a copy of the slides, but if you want a copy of the slides, just take pictures as we go. It's totally fine. You're allowed to do that. You will obviously get the recording on YouTube, but you can take pictures if you want. So here are what I would call the 6 non-negotiable things you have to make sure you keep in mind to get started and to basically grow in the future on social media towards the 6-figure mark. Number one, you actually have to have a plan. Now, I know that's boring and that's not exactly what you thought you were going to learn when you came here today, but you really got to pick one side or the other. Are you going to use social media to build out a database of people you don't know? Or are you going to use social media to enhance your 36 touch program with the people you already know? So straight out of the gate, we are 5-ish minutes in, and I'm going to ask you to make a decision already. Because everything we talk about for the rest of this class, you're going to want to make sure you're filtering it through one of those 2 lenses. So go ahead and write it down wherever you're writing things. Number one option is people you already know. You're going to enhance the relationship. You're going to use it to follow their life. You're going to use it for engagement. Or number 2, are you going to build something on social media that you are meeting new people, cold lead gen? So let's pick one. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Which one would you rather use this class to think about? Now, I'm asking you to choose one or the other because generally speaking, if you create a plan, one plan will not work for the other one. You would actually have to create 2 separate plans, one for cold leads and one for warm leads, one for Sphere and one for online lead gen. I'm asking you to pick one for today's class so that you come out of this 30 minutes with some sort of direction forward. Now, you don't actually have to pick one and only ever have that one. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, for the sake of this, I want you to listen through that lens. So if you chose, I'm going to use social media to build up my Sphere, when we talk about building a plan, your plan is going to be around how to integrate the Sphere and the social media world together. Whereas if you chose that I'm going to basically use this to pump out content and have people subscribe that I don't already know, your plan for that would be very different. So basically, I'm asking you to choose which direction you're going for today, not forever. Number 2, be authentic. The worst thing that you guys can do is to show up like someone else. Be yourself. Don't worry about what people think you should be doing. Just do you. Make sure you keep that in mind. The third thing you have to do is be consistent. We all know these 3. We have to have a plan. We have to have an audience. We have to be consistent. And here's the challenge. We all know a lot of things, and yet people make New Year's resolutions every year to do the things they already know how to do, right? That's the same. It's no different. Be consistent. You have to remember that the idea behind social media, which we'll see here in a little bit, the algorithm of the platform you're on is tracking your consistency. Meta is tracking your consistency. Social media platforms are tracking your consistency and ranking you based on that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. That be consistent is probably the most important one off of all 6 of these. Because if you're not consistent and you're not constantly engaging, you're not relevant to the platform and they will choose to turn your dial down. Okay. Number 4, define your target audience. We all by now know what a target audience is, but I want to share real quick why it's important to define it today. Today, which you'll see in a few minutes on another slide, Meta, which by the way, Meta is what we're going to refer to for Facebook, Instagram, the parent company of those. Meta is tracking engagement and relevancy to a relationship now. So why I say track a target audience or have a target audience is because if you're putting out content and you don't know who you're speaking to, you really can't be relevant to anyone. And therefore your ranking and your scoring in the Meta platform or the algorithm goes down. That means that you're going to be shown to less people. So it's really, really, really more important today than ever that you are consistent and that the people you're speaking to are showing up to engage with your content. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in a second. Number 5, once you know your target audience, figure out what their pain points are. What do they struggle with? What are they having challenges around? All of this is part of your 6-figure database, you guys, because if you can create, and we'll show it in a minute, if you can create a plan using these 6 concepts to attract people to you, it's actually not that difficult to sell 6 figures worth of income on social media anymore. It's probably easier and less people than you think. Now, once you know their pain points, you're going to create some sort of a plan to fix the challenges or aid them in fixing the challenges that they have. For example, let's say your target audience is a first-time home buyer. put in the chat box, what are some of the pain points for a first-time home buyer? Let's see it. Everybody that has, there's 200 of you on here. How many of you know one of the pain points of a first-time home buyer? Just let's rack them up in the chat. Okay, perfect. You guys are getting the point. What is the actual plan that, or the thing that fixes that pain point? Whichever of these that you posted, there's quite a few of you posting these. What is the plan that you have access to that fixes or aids them in fixing the pain point? What could you do to solve those problems? Here's the secret sauce. Always market the plan, not the person. This is what KWRI and Gary has referred to as a MOFR. MOFR is M-O-F-I-R. Make offer for immediate or instant response. MOFR. The plan is the MOFR if you are promoting the plan and not the person. And by the person, I mean you. You're not marketing that you sold these homes and you are the greatest realtor ever. You're marketing that the plan that you have is the greatest plan ever. This is why 72 Sold is so popular. 72 Sold is the plan and the program that Greg created. Greg doesn't market Greg. Greg markets 72 Sold. And you guys, they are blowing up the expectations right now within KWRI of what we thought they were going to be able to do. They're killing it because they're marketing the plan, not the agent. Okay. So right now I'm going to ask you guys to do a little bit of homework. We're going to figure out for your particular marketplace, we're going to play a game first, but after we play the game, we're going to figure out for your particular marketplace, how many sales it would take for you to actually hit $100,000 in commission. So here's the game. In the chat box, I want to see what your real average commission check looks like, but then we're going to see who wins, who has the highest and who has the lowest. This is always fun. In the chat box, pop in there, what's your average commission check in your marketplace? We're going to see who wins and who loses. And you don't really lose, but who has the highest and the lowest? 18,000 so far is the highest. Yep, still 18,000. Still 18,000. Oh, another, yep, still 18,000. Can anybody be 18,000? Going once. Going twice. Ooh, 32,000, Leah. Leah's like, I show you 18,000 and I will match it. 160,000, Carlos. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think Carlos might have won. Well, anyway, some of you have really, really, really nice price points. I don't live in one of those areas, but I'm sure you have struggles I don't. So there are 3 of you who are the winner of the non-existent prize of the highest commission check. Okay. So for those of you who have high numbers, like for example, Leah Edwards put $32,000 as the average check. I want to make sure that you realize that you only need 4 transactions off of social media to make $100,000. Now for me, my average in my area is $7,500 per commission check. For me, it would take 13 sales to make $100,000. Oh, well, that explains it, Leah. Good job. Commercial off market. There you go. All right. So I want you real quick to calculate whatever the number is of your average commission, divide $100,000 by that number. And how many sales would you actually have to do or to transact in order to make $100,000 using social media as a tool? Write it down, put it in chat box if you want, whatever you want to do. I just want you to get a baseline because you guys, honestly, it's usually not that many. With price points in America today, it's usually not that many. Yeah, 7, 8, 14. That's not a ton of transactions. Here's the real question. Okay, this is not on your slide. This is ad lib just because I'm a coach and I like questions. What would you have to create? What program or plan would you have to create that would attract that many people, whatever your number was? Well, I'm just going to use 8 because I think it's McKinsey. McKinsey says 8. So my question, if I were McKinsey, that I would be writing down right now is what program or plan would I have to create that would solve my client's pain points? Because that's the other part, that would attract 8 people to raise their hand and say, I need that program. What program would McKinsey or you have to create that would also solve the pain points of your ideal client, that you would have that many people raise their hand and say, I need that? That's the kicker. Okay. So number 2, consider your options. We already talked about this a minute ago. Option 1 was just use social media to stay in touch with people you already know to build a stronger relationship. You would do this through a 36 touch program using social media on your METs, meaning your database. Here's how you could do that. Number 1, the 36 touch program, if you've never heard of this, is broken down into 4 categories. 36 touches broken down into 4 categories. Category number 1 is 4 calls a year. This is how the 36 touch program works offline. Okay, 4 calls a year to everyone in your Met database. So if you had 100 past clients and you were friends with all of them on social media, you could do 4 phone calls to those people. But before you make the call, you're looking at their profile to see why you would want to connect with them. So if you were calling me, you might say, hey, I see that you got a really great opportunity to work KW military. What is that? Like, tell me more about it. That's how you could use my post on social media to make those 4 phone calls. Now, part 2 of a 36 touch program is 26 emails. That's an email every 2 weeks, market updates, neighborhood community updates, whatever you would want it to be. And here's the kicker. You could also create a VIP group for your sphere if you go with option 1 and post in that group every 2 weeks the update. Come into that group every 2 weeks and do a video. That's one way you could do that. Now, number 4 would be 4 items of value, or the number 3, sorry, would be 4 items of value. That's the 3rd cornerstone of the 36 touch program. Your items of value through social media could be that once a quarter, you go into that same VIP group and you post a coupon for so many dollars off of, I don't know, snow shoveling for some of you and rain suits for others of you in California. You could post something that would be attractive based on that quarter that only went in your VIP group that you've negotiated with a vendor outside of that. And that's a way that you could use social media to get that 3rd cornerstone. Now, the 4th one is events. You're not going to host a virtual event. You're going to host a regular event, but it's going to be exclusive to your VIPs. You're going to go into that small group on Facebook and you're going to post about the wins and wheres and what's of that event. Here's what I want you to hear. The option 1 of using social media to build a 6-figure database with your actual database is really you going on to Facebook or Instagram and engaging with them where they already share their life. You guys, and I'm not going to go get it now because my dog hears me move. She's going to start barking. It's going to mess this whole thing up. I have over here on this table over here, I have a basket full of cards. One of the ways that I use social media to grow my 6-figure database is I scroll every day with the intention of finding 5 people that I can write a card to. And I'm using what they're putting on Facebook already to include in the card. This is not hard. We just don't think about doing this. People are sharing their lives with you, their wins, their losses, their hardships, their food choices, their everything. And we don't use the information they're sharing to connect with them. So option 1 is really about using what they're sharing already to connect with them and make the conversations easier. Now, the daily 5x5x5 is something that we kind of all have likely already heard. And yet, as a reminder, this is a way that you could work through your sphere and stay relevant to them, to the algorithm. The first 5 is 5 personal messages a day. You're going to look at your sphere on Facebook and you're going to go 5 personal messages a day, using what they've already posted to start the conversation. Number 2 is you're going to comment on 5 separate people's Facebook newsfeed or Instagram newsfeed. You're going to congratulate them for promotions. You're going to tell them that you're giving condolences for people passing away. You're going to congratulate them on being great parents when their kids do awesome things. You get the point. The last 5 is to grow your influence by meeting people who are mutual friends. So you're either going to comment on some mutual friends, comment on their stuff, or you can add 5 new friends a day. Totally up to you. Now, option 2 is that you're going to go and build this database of 6-figure income on social media, being a place where you've never met people, and you're going to create ads. You're going to run ads to build in to bring in leads. You first need to build some sort of a MOFR, like what we talked about, to market and pull in those ads. I will tell you, if you choose option number 2, the ROI is about a 2 to 3% on however many leads you pull in. That's about how many are closable. So for every 100 you generate in option 2, people you don't know, you may at best close 3. If I am you, because I am you, but if I'm you and I'm in this class, I want to figure out what is the plan I could build that's a plan. We're not marketing a person that would have that many people, however many you wrote in the chat box, to raise their hand. So think about your pain points. What's a plan that fixes those problems? Market that plan and get people to raise their hand. Go on and do webinars about it, do reels about it, come on social media and talk live about it to get that many people to say, I can't live without what you offer. I would likely not want to go online and just post listings and generate random people who are looking at houses. That's my choice. You can make a different one. Now, the last part is to actually build a plan. You can do this option number 1. If you were to build a plan with option number 1, you would need to work on your skills around branding and storytelling. So if we're looking at what skills would you need to build a plan for option 1, which is your sphere, you would need better branding, better storytelling skills. Now, if you're doing option 2, you would likely need to learn marketing, cold lead gen, and follow-up. Marketing, cold lead gen, and follow-up. Cool. All right, number 1. How does social media actually work for realtors? Now, this is a picture of me and a few of the people on my team. Every year we do a food drive, and every year our food drive gets larger and larger and larger. This year we didn't get as many turnout. I think inflation kind of got some people, but generally speaking, we collect about 6,000 to 7,000 pounds of food in about 2 hours in our farm area. So the first thing I want you to know, social and why social media works to build a large database, is that you have to make sure you're showing off the fact that you're not just a real estate agent. Most people who want to work with you come to you because of things like this that you're posting, things that you're posting that help them understand who you are and what you believe in and what you stand for and your values and what you represent. Some of you came to this call and you're not in the position in your mind where you want to share your personal life online with total strangers. I hate to tell it to you, but that's kind of how social media works if you're not only going to work with people you know. If you're looking to grow a database on social media, you actually have to open up your life and your values and what you want a little bit so that people get to know who you are and what you do. Okay. Now, here's the other part. This is going to beg the question, why would they choose you? Why would someone choose you as a human being? This is an interesting question. Why would someone choose you as a human being? What is it that you represent in the community that's so compelling that people would need to work with you versus anyone else? And you're not allowed to say that you sell homes for the highest price in the least amount of time. I'm going to let you mull over that another day because this might require some soul searching. If you weren't allowed to talk about your ranking or your status or how long you've been in the business or how many homes you've sold, why else would they choose you? That is the secret sauce for number 1. That is why people come to you, because of who you are and what you believe, not what you do. You are so much more than what you do. And that's what I want you to answer when you go to answer that question. Now, we've already talked about this a little bit. How many sales do you need? Now, in this example, if my average commission was $8,500 per check, that's only 12 closed deals. Consider the fact, though, that social media, you guys, is like a lead generator, just like anything else. But the thing that's the secret sauce here is talking about who you are as a person, because here's a fun stat I want you to write down. 94% of this country is not moving this year. 94% of the United States of America is not buying or selling real estate in 2023. Does that, if it hit you like a ton of bricks, that stat, I want you to put it in the chat box. Because the first time I heard Gary Keller from stage a few years ago say that only about 6 to 7% of the country moves every year, what clicked for me was, oh my gosh, I'm marketing to 6% of the possible humans that could be following me. And it changed everything for me. Changed like everything completely. So if all you're posting is real estate, you're not posting about who you are or what you do outside of that, your best possible scenario is that you get 6% of the people walking around you on the planet to pay attention to you. I don't like those odds. So if you're anything like me, you're sitting there right now thinking, what could I be talking about on social media that would attract the other 94% of people to buy into me as a human being, so that when they're ready to buy real estate, I'm the only choice? That might be a better question and thought process. So we're going to shift gears for a couple minutes, and we're going to talk about Meta. So Meta equals Facebook equals Instagram. That's the parent company, what they're talking about now. So Meta uses something now called machine learning. You might think of this as the algorithm, but they now call it machine learning. They use and develop, they basically have a computer system that they're able to learn and adapt their processes and who they're showing things to and what pops up on your social based on your interactions online. So they use algorithms, they use stats, and they analyze and they draw inferences from the patterns in your data. I'm not going to go any farther than that because some of you will check out and be like, I don't know what she's talking about. Only thing I want you to know from this is that they are watching every click, how long you're staying on every picture, if you share everything. Now, think about that from a consumer standpoint. You're the business, your audience is the consumer. They're drawing an inference based on how much you two interact with each other as to how meaningful that relationship is. Now I'm going to make an example real quick that's wonderful, I think. My husband and I talk all day long. We don't talk on social media, and guess who I never see on social media? My husband. I don't see anything he does because we have taught the computer system that is machine learning that we don't matter to each other. So they don't show us to each other. He also never sees anything I post because we don't talk on the platform. So if you're thinking about using this to make money, how many people in your sphere are you engaging with on the social media platforms? If the answer isn't all of them, you have a huge opportunity. Now, they're going to do three things. They collect the data. How many times do you guys message back and forth? How many times does your sphere like what you post? How many times do they engage with your comments? How many times do they watch your videos? And then they're going to rank it. We'll talk about that in a second. Then they're going to use the ranking to predict your behavior and theirs. And I'm going to give you another fun fact. Only about 10% of your friends list ever sees what you're posting. Why do you think that is? Because you don't interact with the other 90% of people ever. Now, if you're anything like me, you're thinking, oh, good, now I know how to hack this whole thing. So Meta ranks everything. The first thing they're looking for is what is your relationship, quote unquote, relationship to the viewer on that platform. Okay. One of the components of the ranking system determines what relationship you have and how likely you are to interact with each other. And it's asking itself the question, who does this person usually interact with? Now, one of the fastest ways to get all of your sphere and past clients to see your stuff is to go on some sort of a plan with the DTD2 of not only calling them offline, but messaging them online. Pick 2 letters of the alphabet every single month, or every single week, sorry, and you will make your way through your whole sphere 4 times a year. And those 2, you're messaging them on Facebook. The whole plan here in how you do this is you're going to hack the machine learning algorithm to start retraining it that you two matter to each other. Second thing, does the content match Facebook's goal? Facebook and Instagram, Meta, their goal is video. So I also hate to tell you this, if you're not pumping out video content, whether it's short form or long form, they're taking the dial on you and they're turning you down, which means not as many people are seeing it. Now they're looking for overall engagement. This is where you as a business need to ask yourself, are you creating content that people actually want to engage with? If you're only pumping out real estate content, at best, 6% of people on your friends list are going to engage with you. That is not going to get you anywhere. The last part is when we were talking about consistency at the beginning, frequency and recency. How frequently do you post and how recently have you posted? They're looking to make sure that they're using us to keep people inside the platform, you guys. That's all they're doing. So if you're not constantly pumping out content, and by content, I mean, I don't know. By content, I mean, it could be anything, a story, a whatever, or whatever. If you're not constantly doing that, they're turning the dial down on you. Now, here are 4 ways to use the machine learning algorithm, to your advantage. Number 1, interact with your social media friends list on a consistent basis. Have a plan. DTD2 from Bold or Never Ending Referrals, which is another courses that we teach at MAPS, they teach you the pathway to that. You can also go online and find the list. You're basically looking at 2 letters every single week from the alphabet and just messaging and engaging with them all. Number 2, post and message people when they're online. If you go on your Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger, there's a little green bubble to the right, and it tells you everyone who's online. Message the people who are online because they're going to do what? They're going to message you back. And then that starts to teach the algorithm that you guys matter to each other. Number 3, go live and post video frequently. I'm not going to elaborate on that. I know a lot of us don't want to, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to speak to your soul for just a second. People love you and they don't care because you look like that in person anyway. You sound like that in person anyway. You do that weird thing where you look around when you're thinking anyway, and they still love you. Whether you do it on Facebook Live or not, they already know it because they see you all day anyway. Just go ahead and post it. Number 4, use stories and reels in between your posts. That's more of the behind the scenes, all access pass to the good stuff. Those are the 4 ways you can start using machine learning to your advantage so that more people see your stuff. Now, here are a few things about how the game of social media works. In order for you to have $100,000 in GCI come to your way this year, we need to have some basic assumptions and put this in your plan. Number 1, time block to plan the plan. When they tell you to time block in real estate school, they don't tell you have to time block to plan. They also don't tell you have to time block to build out the content or to run the plan or to follow up with what comes from the plan. They just tell you to time block, but there's really 4 components in that. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Time block to plan, time block to build it, time block to run it, and time block to follow up with it. Those are the first 4 assumptions you need to have in your world to make this work. The 5th one is post multiple times a day. The goal here is post when people are watching. Don't go on there and pump out content between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. Nobody's on there. Pump out content at peak times throughout the day when most people would be scrolling social media. Last thing, don't only post about real estate. We've already talked about that, you guys. 94% of this country does not need your real estate advice this year. 94% of this country does not need your real estate advice this year. They do need other things like where's the best dentist? Where's the best dog park? What are the cool shops that no one ever goes to? What are the behind the, back alley barbecue places? If you are from North Carolina like I am, there's random hole in the wall barbecue places everywhere that no one thinks to go in because they look sketchy and they're so good. People need to know about that stuff. They do not need your real estate advice most of the time. Okay. So here's a recap. And some of you are just coming in because we moved the time back a couple days ago, and I don't think they saw these emails. This is being recorded, so if you're one of those people, you will get the recording by tomorrow. I apologize. We had to move the time back about 30 minutes. Let's recap. In order to put yourself in a position to make 6 figures in the next 12 months, number 1, block your schedule for that. Take a screenshot. You've got to plan what you're putting out. You've got to build it. You've actually got to run the plan and show up and post it, and then you've got to follow up. Second thing, put together a system around content. You guys, anything is content, anything. I got these, so we're passing out these KW military stickers at family reunion, and I got them in the mail the other day. And literally one of my stories that day was me going like this in a boomerang. I mean, it can be anything. It doesn't really matter. Number 3, figure out your mofer or your mousetrap that's going to bring people to you. What's the program you have that fixes the problems of your target audience? Number 4, use social media to nurture and strengthen your current relationships. All right. I trust that everyone got something from this. I'm going to go through the chat box, but for those of you who necessarily didn't see the chat box email where I put my email address in there, I'm putting my email address in there right now. MOFR is make offer for immediate response. I will also say, you guys, in about a month, I am launching an 8-week course for MAPS that talks about all of this in much, obviously, bigger detail. And Graham did post the link to that if you want to. There is a promo code if you guys want to use that we give people who come to these webinars that you're more than welcome to write down. It's WEB15, which will give you a promo for taking some money off if you want to take that full course with me. We do start in February, so you have a few weeks, and I'll be sending out a recording and a recap to all of you with that information in it. But if you have any questions in the meantime that I didn't get to, send an email to deanawatson@kw.com. I don't see any other questions on here. And I know, like I said, I saw a lot of you talking about the time change. It was sent out. It might have ended up in spam, and I'm sorry for that. It was sent out a couple days ago. So we'll get you the recording. No harm, no foul in that. But somebody else asked what's the best times to post. That's really going to depend on you and your personal community. I'm in a military community, so if I post between 9 and 11 in the morning, people are working. But if I post between 7 and 8 in the morning, people are getting to work and they're able to look. Really, to answer your question, think about the times that you generally are just blindly scrolling social media. That is when I would look at doing it. Also, if you're not actually doing this yet, the best times to post is whenever you can do it. I would say that specifically how many times you post is also up to how much you usually do this already. If you're already posting once a day, see if you can post once and then do a story every day. Ease your way into it. I am posting content on social media probably 5 to 10 times a day, but it's not anything significant. I actually took a picture of us starting this, and it's going to be a story as soon as we're done here. That could be considered content. If you have any questions other than that, let me know. The only other one I see that I didn't get to answer was, is this all on your personal Facebook? Yes, is the answer to that. Your Facebook business pages are not set up for engagement, you guys. They actually don't show up to anybody unless they go there purposefully. Your stuff you're posting on your business page is not actually going to anyone. Okay, it's just kind of hanging out there for people to find. It's necessary, but it's not going to actually make you any money. I hate to tell you. It's more of a proof of success. When someone thinks they want to work with you, they're going to go there and check you out and check out your reviews, but that's not usually where they're finding you. 5 by 5 by 5 stands for, number 1, 5 personal messages a day. Number 2 is 5 comments on people's news feeds or reels or whatever. And the last 5 could either be engage in 5 groups that you're a part of, or add 5 people a day to your friends list. I'm now maxed out for friends, so I'm going more towards the engage in 5 groups. If you don't like either of those options and you're wanting to use your sphere with social media, write 5 note cards a day based on things people are posting on their Facebook pages to congratulate them about things that are going on in their life. All right, you guys, if you have any other questions, I'm not seeing them, so email them to deanawatson@kw.com. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And for those of you who came here a little late because of the announcement, maybe going to your spam, I apologize. I will get a report from all of you who came on here, and I will personally email it all to you in the next 24 hours. Have a wonderful afternoon. And if you need anything, I will see you then. And if not, I will see some of you at family reunion. See you later.